The new year is officially here, and my favorite way to kick off any new year is to just do a full life reset. You definitely don't need to wait for the start of a new year to make changes to your life, but I just think that it's the perfect time to kind of play into the whole New Year's resolutions thing and basically just get your life together. It's a good opportunity to reflect on the previous year and potentially find changes that you want to make for the next year. So I like to get everything in order physically, mentally, make myself feel like I'm kind of starting the year off on a good foot. And so I've essentially devised 4 categories that I think pretty much summarize most of the areas, if not all. First category is physical space, which is, you know, it's like your room, your house, cleaning, your apartment, whatever. The second is school/work. I'll get into that later. The third is mental self, and then the fourth is physical self. So that's like, you know, doing a face mask, taking a nice shower, like those things. So as we're going through the categories one by one, I'm going to start off with physical space, which, as I mentioned, is basically it's your physical space. So it's wherever you're living. It can be deep cleaning in whichever way you deem possible for you. I don't feel that my apartment needs a ton of deep cleaning. Before I left for break, I like deep cleaned everything, so it's already pretty clean and pretty caught up. But for me today, what I'm mostly going to be doing is putting all my stuff away. Also going to be posting things on Depop and taking pictures for Depop. And I did do like a full closet clean out when I was at home because that's where all my clothes are. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is actually grocery shopping. This is something that I feel ties into physical space, I guess. Basically like physical life. Let's just get started. I've talked enough. Semester, if you're not in school, you could just use this time to prep for your life in other ways, whether that's organizing your work schedule, your daily schedule, even stuff like that. What I like to do at the start of each semester is make a folder on my computer. I made an additional folder for each of my classes. So these are the 4 classes I'm taking this semester, and nothing is in them right now, but I did add a color to each one. It's like the color that I associate with each class. And then throughout the semester, any assignments that I have, I will just put into these folders to keep everything really organized. And then over here, I did make a schedule for myself. This is the Excel doc. I put the semester up here, and then time was on this y-axis. The second y-axis was the room number. I think this is a really good way to visualize your classes. The main thing that I want to focus on setting up right now for school is a Notion, because I've always really wanted to do that. I just have never gotten around to like figuring it out. I'm gonna start by finding a template on TikTok and downloading that to my own Notion. So I'm not quite done with filling out my Notion yet, but I did just put in a good chunk of time. There's definitely a lot of different things to edit. I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it as I'm like navigating it more, and I'm gonna keep working on that tomorrow. But for now, I want to move on to the mental section. First thing that I want to do is make a vision board. I did already start a vision board, but I want to finish it. So I'm not gonna print out the pictures and put it on an actual poster board for a few reasons. Number one, I don't know where I would actually put that. I feel like that would just be like clutter to me. But the second is I just don't feel that it's necessary for me to do that. So I'm gonna make a vision board online and just keep it online. So I'm just making one on Pinterest. My Pinterest is just Sophie DiLoretto. So if you want, you can go check out the vision board I made. It's sort of like a form of manifestation, because you're kind of creating a visualization of how you want your life to look. It also helps you really think about what you want in life and what you want for the next year. So far, mine has like lots of pictures of things that I kind of want to do, places I want to go. I'm gonna keep just finding more pictures to add. For the journaling section, and the part that I think is kind of the most fun and the most important. I like to journal in general, just on a daily basis or as often as I can, but I think that specifically at the end of the year, it's kind of the perfect time to reflect on the year. And also I like to write down some of the main things that happened that year. Obviously you can't write down like everything, but just some of the big events, like milestones that happened that year. It's cool to like look back on that each year and see, you know, what happened, and just give like a little summary of the year, because you tend to forget things over time. I also want to do some goal setting on like a yearly scale. So I have yearly goals as well as monthly goals, and my monthly goals are basically like a way for me to work towards the yearly goals, sort of. But my monthly goals are more specific and usually more tangible. So the yearly goals that I have right now are spend less time on my phone. It's just my productivity increases like a crazy amount when I'm not on my phone. And not that you need to be like productive at all times, but I even prefer to like watch a movie on the couch to being on my phone. Even if I just need some like relaxation time, I feel like just scrolling and scrolling endlessly on TikTok, it just like makes me feel worse about myself. I feel like it supports mentality of overconsumption and like I need to keep buying this. Like, oh, I see all these hauls, I see all these videos of people posting like buying new things, like, oh, you need this, and I just don't really like the way that that makes me feel. Like every time I go on TikTok, I mean inevitably multiple times a day I'll see somebody talking like, oh my god, run to Target, you need this. Like, I don't. I made that as one of my just main goals, spend less time on my phone. And instead of that, I kind of made like an alternate is to read every day instead of go on my phone. So like, for example, I'll get back from class and I'll be like, I need to sit down and relax for a little bit, which there's no problem with that. But I don't think that going on my phone, and when I say going on my phone, I mean like literally pretty much scrolling on TikTok and for probably an hour, you know, or longer. I could just sit down and read a book for a while, and I like to read. Sometimes I just like I can't get myself to start reading, but if I like get into a book, I will just read it up and work out consistently. Like I said, these are vague goals because yearly goals have to be vague. I mean, you can't say like work out 250 days of the 365 days, you know what I mean? Like, so my monthly goals are where I kind of get into the like nitty gritty. So for example, my monthly goals for this month are to read 2 books, work out 5 days a week. This is something that I do feel I can keep up with, and I kept up with this pretty well last semester. I made myself a new workout split for this year. My other 2 goals are like work related, so I won't specifically talk about them. I also don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up with them, but not to be like super vague, but they're things that I would like to do, hoping that I have time outside of school. I just finished, did like a short reflection. I also talked about how I felt about my previous year, like journal entry. And then I decided to write out each month and write like the most significant things that happened each month. But like for January, I said moved into my first apartment, and then February, I said went to my first real concert, because I went to concerts when I was little, but it was my first like GA concert, I guess. So went to my first real concert, which was still woozy. So I went to Florida. March was a very uneventful month. I literally put that I made a scrapbook because that was the most eventful thing that I did other than just study and cry. I did that for each month. It was really fun because I literally just scrolled through all my pictures from each month to like remind myself of what I did each month, and then I wrote down the most significant things on there. So the 4th section that I mentioned at the beginning of this video is like the physical self. I'm not going to show that in this video because I feel like there's already so much. It's basically just physical self-care. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this video could be helpful to you, and I hope you set some great, amazing goals for yourself for the new year. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.